Hello, and welcome back to All the War They Want. This episode is on making an impact.
And we are joined by Jim Duffy, who is a director at BDO. But the reason we're here on location in South Florida is he's the chair, presidente, el jefe of the South Florida Charity Classic Golf Tournament that benefits the Special Operations Warrior Foundation and
the Warrior Health Foundation.
Yeah. I knew that one. Even though it's run by filthy seals, I didn't know that. But Jim, welcome.
Thank you.
Could you give a little bit of background about yourself and how you ended up in now the seventh year of running a charity golf tournament?
Geez whiz, this is only a half an hour. We're going to need about 2 minutes. I'm a very, very boring person. I think you know that. But I moved down here about 20 years ago. Never served in the military. I was going in. My plan was to go in. I was going to go Army, not Navy. I got really, really badly hurt in a car accident. After all that time, I got healed up. My path had changed, right? And I became an accountant, which is dangerous and sexy still at the same time. So, I moved down here, and several years ago, there's an organization called the Association of Corporate Growth. And this was back in 12-13. I was president, and we had a lot of veterans moving into this area. And we were experiencing this unknown, horrific homeless problem, right? And there were a lot of veterans taking their lives. We didn't know about this. And then one of the guys on our board of directors, a guy named John Goldman, proud to say his name, proud to be his friend. He is going to be there tomorrow. He's a former Marine, served in Vietnam. He came to us one day at the board meeting and said, guys, we have a problem. We need to do something. So the board's like, sure. What do you want to do? And we started inviting all the veterans in their Class A's or their uniforms to all of our ACG meetings. So they're meeting industry leaders, they're meeting presidents of companies, and they were getting hired. And we're like, this is cool. Like this is making an impact, right? We didn't even know what we were doing. And we got introduced to a gentleman, Lieutenant Colonel Tony Colmenares. He was leading the efforts to end the homeless problem in Miami. And got to know Tony really well. He invited me to meet a man named Travis Mills. And if you don't know who Travis Mills is, you might know who he is. Look him up. Okay, he's one of the few surviving quadruple amputees. Met him and his wife and his little girl at an event at the mayor's office. You can't help but get your soul crushed when that happens. So I took all those guys out. I met the former 4-star commander of Southern Command there that night, and he's this guy like us wearing jeans. Didn't know who he was. Took them all out for beers. And I was talking to Tony. I said, "What can we do to help this? We have to do something." And he goes, "That's easy, Jim. I need you to raise money." I'm like, all right, well, we'll do a golf tournament. How much do you need us to raise? I need you to raise me $25,000. I'm like, sure, no problem, whatever. Easy day, easy walk in the park. And we had no idea what in the heck we were doing. We'd never done this before. I mean, it was just okay. So we tried to figure it out.
And this was 7 years ago. 7 years
This
ago
was back in
was the
13.
first one?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's back in 13. So I'm sitting around my kitchen table over the Christmas break. We're planning this thing. Started making phone calls, and people and we didn't figured out pricing, how to get golf. We didn't know what the heck we were doing, and started.
Are you a golfer?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I grew up playing golf.
Well, that helps.
Yeah, and started making phone calls to our friends and our clients, and everyone just started saying yes, 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 yes. We sold out in like 2 weeks, right? Absolutely nuts. So the first year, we were asked to raise $25,000 to help the homeless effort, and we netted over 50 the first year. It was mind blowing. I mean, it was mind blowing. Always remember sitting at my kitchen table that Christmas, looking up and saying, "Lord, we don't know what we're doing, but if you want it, if it's your work, you will bless it and you'll make it succeed." So I'm getting choked up. So I don't want to talk too much.
Yeah, so I've been involved now for the past few years, and to get Jim back away from the emotional response, so bring it back to a lighter tone. What I noticed was this was a very Navy SEAL support dominated event. He's like, "Hey, we want special operations ambassadors." And I'm like, absolutely, and I'd love to come. And the event was run really well. The people there, most of them had not served, but they wanted to support, as Jim identified. And I look around, and you got these guys who are like sleep, eat, and lift. That's what we say around SEALs. With their shirts
What is
off.
it? Sleep, eat, and lift?
Yeah, sleep, eat, and lift. So they're bronzed gods now with a little bit of gray in their beard. That
We have a few half naked guys running around every tournament.
and
I'm
like,
excited.
and I'm like Jim, where Navy Special Operations is like not that big. There's a lot more, Army Special Operations guys, Marine Raiders, Air Force Special Tactics. How are we going to get some representation like that into the mix? And he's like, well, you find me somebody. And I'm like, and also, there are these other charities like Special Operations Warrior Foundation, that came out of Operation Eagle Claw in 1980. And he's like, sure, now you're on the board.
Carmen, that's not exactly how it happened.
Yeah.
That's Jeff's recollection.
I was going to say, what's yours, Jim?
What happened was, and my wife remembers this because I was telling her, remember Jeff? And she goes, oh, that's the guy at the end of the tournament. I go, yeah, that's the guy. So we're hanging out, everybody's talking, and Jeff walks over. Jeff, he's kind of direct. He looks at you. He's coming in like a Rottweiler, right? And he grabs me by the arm, pulls me real close, and said, "We need more green guys." I said, "Then let's get some green guys." And then he goes, "And I got a foundation you should support." I said, "What is it?" And he told me. I said, "I've never heard of him, but I'll look him up." He said,
Wait, so you introduced Special Operations Warrior Foundation into this?
I did.
Oh, I didn't realize that connection.
Yeah, that's how we got hit. That's how the SOWF got involved with us through Jeff. Jeff dragged me across the green and said, "You need to do this." And I'm like, "I'll listen. We'll listen to anything." So
So we
forget that part.
He hasn't shucked anybody yet. But the funny part about it is like, hey, typically we need a guest of honor. And most of them have written a book, and I'm like, yeah, that's why you have so many SEALs, because they teach them a writing class. It's a little bit frowned upon on the Army side of this thing to write books. He's like, well, it's not required. So this is the year, or the guest of honor is General Tony Thomas, who's the chairman of the Special Operations Warrior Foundation and former commander of Special Operations Command, and an Army guy.
And an Army guy and a green guy, a very green guy.
Yes,
Very decorated green guy.
Yes. So the little part that I could play in all the work that he's done, very little part compared to the yeoman's work that Jim and Jack and others have done to make this happen over the last 7 years. It's an honor for me, and the fact that I was able to influence him into to get a little professionalism built in, to the military representation. I'm happy about that.
He busts me all the time for it. So, but going back to what we were, and about making an impact, we just did it. We had no idea what we were doing, and then we started getting phone calls. We did a video the first year, and unbeknownst to us, people were sending this thing out. I remember sitting at my desk and I got a phone call. It's like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Hey, can we be your beer sponsor? Well, who are you? Boston Brewing Company. Who? Sam Adams. We're Sam Adams. Can we be your beverage sponsor and pay money? I'm like, let me get back to you. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. And big shout out to Chester and Gary from Sam Adams. I'll tell you, Boston Brewing Company and Sam Adams have been an anchor for this tournament since the second year, and they are just a huge supporter of our veterans' efforts, and love those guys, love them. You're going to meet Gary this year. Chester cannot make it. He injured his back. He's retired now. He's only like 52. He's retired. Traveling the world, it sucks. It's a tough life. We started getting phone calls, like Tito's calls. Like, where'd you hear? How'd you hear about us? Oh, we heard what you guys are doing. Like, this is so cool. And then one of the funniest calls we got, like I said, you just do things. Activity breeds activity, right? Just try to help. And I'm sitting at my desk, literally, and I get a call, and it's, hey, we'd like to come down and do a documentary about what you guys are doing. I'm like, well, who are you? We're the New York Film Academy. Like, no way.
No way.
And they go, and we have a board member who would like to be part of your tournament. And that's how the guest of honor thing kind of really started. And I said, well, who's the board member? A guy named Colonel Jack Jacobs. Jack Jacobs, look him up. Congressional Medal of Honor recipient, Vietnam, CNN commentator, very, very successful businessman, one of the nicest guys you're ever going to meet. He's about this tall, right? I got pictures of me and Jack were like this. And it's really funny because my wife and him were at the same height, and we all went out to an event, and my wife just was like right with Jack. And I'm like, it's hard to beat a Medal of Honor. I know we're married, but I get it. I get it.
You get a
And
pass.
that's kind of where we started with these. We do these pin flags, right? And just to show you real quick. So this is a little bit old, but this is the kind of thing we give our sponsors. Signed by
these are awesome.
Yeah, signed by the guest of honor, and we started the kind of building it around that guest of honor. So obviously the Medal of Honor, and Jack signed each of these.
You change them every year?
We change them every year. We've had other guests like Colonel Danny McKnight, Green guy, Danny McKnight, Ranger. He was the ground force rescue force commander during the Black Hawk Down incident. And we came up with this. He wrote a book. He wrote a book, right? We came up with this thing. Fight together, win together, leave no one behind. And we designed it around the little birds. And we think this is one of the coolest flags we've ever. It's really, really cool.
Yeah. One of my second squadron commander, who Doug and I, who will be on the next episode, and the one who enabled his connectivity with General Thomas, he was a platoon leader in that Ranger company, working for Colonel McKnight. If you watch the movie, he's the one that says "Ditto" on his helmet.
Okay.
Tom DiDamasso, an amazing guy, and I happen to have the benefit of knowing a lot of the unit guys who were there. Because we think it seems like it's so far, in the past, but you think that some of the more junior guys, but it was only 12 years separated from when I got in special operations from when that operation happened.
Was it 92?
93.
93.
Yep.
Gothic Serpent.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Terrible situation, but really amazing people that survived it. And thankfully, even though I have an aversion to people telling the stories, the fact that they were able to get that story out, I think probably built a whole generation of special operators that were inspired by that mission.
Well, one of I forget how the SEALs got involved. I got to address this because I just have to. When I say SEALs, said Jeff, right? He shivers. He takes a suck. Have some mimosa, Jeff. Calm down. You're all right. So we got hooked up with the Navy SEAL Museum, and Rick Kaiser, who was the command master chief of Dev Group, he was our guest of honor. He was also in Mogadishu, and I didn't even know it until someone sent me a picture years later and said, "Hey, look, here's a picture. There were team guys at Mogadishu." I'm like, "That's Rick." I didn't even know he was there. I had no idea. Never talked about it. Great people. And we got a lot of them involved because of the museum. So they brought down a platoon of SEALs. Everybody had a lot of really good fun. And so that's how they got involved. And then,
is that how you ended up with the golf carts in the pond?
No, the golf carts in the pond, I think that had something to do with when we had Diageo in as a sponsor and people were stealing bottles of Johnny Walker Blue out of the boxes and riding around with them. Yeah, that was a good year. That was a great year. Yeah, can we talk about something else? I think we're still settling liability claims after that one.
Yeah, lots of money raised and no DUIs to your record.
No DUIs. We have basic statistics. Over $350,000 to $370,000 raised so far. That's raised. That's net raised. That's
Net
not
raised
gross.
to date.
That's net raised. This year, I'm going to count. I know the numbers. This year we are going to have a record raise. It's classified. No, it's a top secret classified number. No one knows what that number is. There's only three people in the world that are cleared to know that number. Myself, my wife Jody, and my son Jackson, because they're the other three people that make this happen. Jody is the only one allowed to write on the check because she has very good handwriting. And at the end of the tournament, I'm doing the math and I make a call. Here's the number. Are you sure? Here's the number. And she writes it on the check. And my son Jackson, if you see the videos we've seen, he's the only one that's allowed to actually bring we call it the big check. It's a big giant check.
Yeah, those
it's
huge
really
ones.
cool. Well, now we came up with that idea. He's the only one allowed to carry it up. Right? He's the only one allowed to touch it. Like a couple of years ago, one of the SEALs tried to get him. Like, get off of
Get
there.
it. Don't touch that.
We got this.
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, it's definitely a team sport. I've witnessed it with him and the family. And the amount of effort that you individually put in and they support, is massive. And anybody else who participates on the periphery, our participation is very light compared to what Jim puts into this on a.
Look, I'm just the front guy for the band. That I'm just the biggest, loudest, dumbest guy on the field, right? I just happen to be we're all very passionate about it, right? For some reason, it's just people ask, why do we do it? First off, because it needs to be done. If not us, who? If not now, when? That's what Jack Jacobs' book is about. If not me, who? And we've the funds we raised, we took over 900. We took 900 homeless veterans off the streets in Miami, put them into housing, got them medical care, legal care. I mean, we took a service dog. We rescued a service dog off the streets of Miami. Not we, our funds did through different agencies, and that's a real number. That's not a made-up number.
Damn,
I know that for a fact. I know that for a fact.
Unbelievable.
We started a foundation that was born out of the first tournament because we had a Black Circle 22 on all the T signs, and most people know what that represents. A guy who owns a medical diagnostics company was there, and he's like, I got to do something. He started the Project 22. They do TBI treatments, hyperbaric chambers, faith-based care. They started cycling people through. I met some of them. It's like, holy moly. So we treat a lot of those people, and then through the Warrior Health Foundation, I've met a lot of the guys who have gotten the hormone-based therapies, and now it's so yeah, we're making an impact. We're definitely changing lives. I know for a fact we've saved lives because I've had people come up and say, it's like, how can you not do this? This year, and when Jeff came up and told me about the organization, I'm like, all right, I'll look into it. Got to make sure they're legit, right? I'm looking it up, and I thought, wow, now we get to help the children. How
spouses,
how good is this that we as a community can come together? So, like I said, I'm just the front guy for the band. There's a lot, believe me, there's a lot of hands. There's a lot of hands inside of this thing.
Well, it takes a lot of people.
Yeah, having spent a lot of my early adult life, in combat, it's one of those things that you put it on the line for your mates, and you do it, not worried about whether or not your family is going to be taken care of at home. So I think both, the Warrior Health Foundation and Special Operations Warrior Foundation cover an aspect of that. The people who are still doing the Lord's work, as I call it, going out and engaging with the enemy, they can do that with the comfort knowing that if they don't make it back, then the buddies that they have will be taken care of, and the loved ones that they leave behind will be taken care of, and ultimately the legacy that they've created will be protected. So you can't go out and project power if you don't feel safe at home, and that the work that both of these groups are doing are really critical to that, and the support that the South Florida Charity Classic is providing to them is critical to them being able to execute on their missions.
And we've been very blessed. We came up with a guest of honor concept. Actually, a 92-year-old former Navy vet was brought by his daughter to the second event. She said, "Can I bring my dad?" I'm like, sure. He's 92 years old. He served on the Lexington, USS Lexington in World War II, an aircraft carrier, fought in every major Pacific War campaign, slept on the deck, was officially credited with shooting down I think 2 kamikazes, on a 40 millimeter gun, and lost all his hearing because of that. And so we honored that man. We were blessed to be able to honor that man in front of all these people. And the colonel said, Seaman First Class Bob, front and center. This 92-year-old guy gets out of his wheelchair, ramrod straight. You could see the fire come back in this guy's eyes, and walks across the green. I'm like, oh, he's gonna fall and break his neck. And he walked across that green and took a salute and took the thing and came back. And it was just like, holy moly, that was like, wow. That was incredible. That's where we started the guest of honor. Jack Jacobs was the following year. That's when we got the magic call from the New York Film Academy, Colonel McKnight. Then we had Rick Kaiser. Last year we were really lucky. You were there. We met a gentleman named Will Chesney. And Will, I hope one day you listen to this. Big shout out to Will and his wife Natalie, and Nala and Axel, his 2 Belgian Malinois, who were there. They were the hit of the parade. I'll tell you, when a Belgian Malinois jumps up into your golf cart and looks at your tuna sandwich, he gets the tuna sandwich.
Yep. Gladly.
So we had Will. And
wasn't hungry anyways.
Will was on the Bin Laden mission. Will was one of those guys on the Bin Laden mission, and so that was a lot of fun. And this year, as Jeff mentioned, we have General Tony Thomas. If you don't know who Tony Thomas is, look him up and look up his background. When I started researching his bio, I was like, holy moly, this guy is like real. This is a cabinet level briefing president's planning campaign kind of guy. And I was like, okay, that's good. That'll work for us.
So you've had a lot of organizations reach out, get involved. I know when we were emailing back and forth, you said that you've had some interesting stories of companies that have reached out wanting to get involved. Do you have any? Can you share those stories with us?
Oh, geez. I think the ones I mentioned about like Tito's and Sam Adams, of course, they're big sponsors. The New York Film Academy. We did have one or two, because if you look at our videos, there's a couple key elements to what we do. First off, we're Americans. Okay, I don't care about your race, your creed, your color. I don't care. We don't care anything about that. We're patriots. We're Americans. That's why we're here. Every tournament, we started off with a national anthem. We have an amazing singer, by the way. Oh my gosh, you're going to be blown away by our singer tomorrow. She comes out of a place called Church by the Glade, which is right around the corner, and a great pastor too. We have our national anthem. We have our Pledge of Allegiance, and we always have an opening prayer. We ask God's blessing on our efforts, and that will never, ever change, as long as I'm involved with this. And we had a call or two. Hey, we'd like to come in big. We've been watching your video. Do you guys always do that prayer? Like, yeah. It might be a little, really, like, divisive. Like, I don't care. If you don't want to pray, you don't have to.
Right.
But we are.
Yeah.
We will never stop asking, God to continue to bless this effort. And that's just that's who we are. Yeah. And like I said, as long as I'm involved, that's not going to change, ever.
Yeah, that's awesome, Jim.
Yeah. So I don't know if that answers your question or not, but
No, it does. I just remember in the email, I was like, I'm so curious about these companies, but you already went through that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
yeah, and we have a very high, what was it, recidivism? What was when a criminal keeps coming back and doing rescission rate?
Recidivity.
Yeah.
Recidivity.
You know the
Don't
word.
look
You
at
know
me.
the word I'm looking for. We have a lot of repeat offenders in this tournament. We call them repeat offenders. They just keep coming back. We're in the tournament and somebody will walk up. Hey, I'm the CEO of this company. Take my card. We're in next year. I'm like, cool.
So how many people will be here this year?
We will have 133 players. I think that's right. 133. We have one group with a fivesome. Apparently, they've brought in a ringer like golf collegiate professional. I'm like, bring her on. They said, I'm like, bring her. Hey, she can help your tournament. You just got to pay for the card. 133 players. We'll probably have about 20 volunteers, and then we'll have over 150 people easily. And the other thing, which Jeff has alluded to, is we came up with the idea. We love traditions of the guest of honor leading off with an opening toast, right? So it's pretty cool. We get everybody together, green side or wherever. Everybody has a little toast in their hand of whatever. This year, I believe it's the Conquest Cyber Woodford Bourbon Toast.
Jeff Engle.
Yeah. You got to bring the bourbon into it.
You got to.
Bring a little Tennessee to South Florida.
That's right. So
I think Woodford might actually be made in Kentucky. Yeah, either way.
Made in America, who
Woodford.
cares?
Yeah.
It's made in America. That's all we care about, right? None of that.
There's no state lines here.
Yeah, exactly. So we started that tradition, and people really enjoy that as well. And this year, since you're going to hear this after the tournament, you're all going to be doing two toasts. It's just the way it's going to work. We're really sorry, but we always like to keep people on their toes and keep them surprised. So, and we wanted to give Conquest, you guys are going to have a huge platform with your tent. It's going to be insane. But we wanted to give, personally, I wanted to give you, Jeff, a little more airtime, just so people know who you are. We put out an email about, the cybersecurity and all that, like reach out to Jeff. We want people to know who you guys are and what mission you're accomplishing right now. Because, as you say, you're continuing to do God's work. You guys are trying to keep our country safe, with your business. Right. So to me, it was very important to try to elevate you guys up a little bit, as much as we could. And that just seemed like a good idea.
Well, definitely appreciated. Last year, actually one of the members of our foursome this year, who's joining us, is somebody I met at last year's tournament.
Oh, yeah.
So, David Henshaw, former CEO of Citrix, is going to be joining our group. And he's become a friend over that time period. You realize that, regardless of what the scale of your business, CEOs face a lot of the same challenges. There's a camaraderie there that was developed, on the golf course. When I wasn't even playing, I was just riding around because I had back surgery, I think 5 or 6 weeks before.
But you were hobbling.
I was hobbling around, but still a great experience, and And this year I can drink because last year I wasn't supposed to during the recovery from back surgery.
Or didn't?
I was not supposed to, and if my neurosurgeon's listening,
Absolutely
I definitely did not. No.
No, he had actually a sign on his head that said, "I'm not drinking anything today except for water."
Yeah,
and tequila.
Don't offer me alcohol.
It's just agave-based water.
It's agave-based water. Yeah, that's an interesting thing that happened. We try to do that. We have a lot of we have higher level sponsors, and they come in and we try to put one of we call them playing ambassadors, special operations or whoever, with those groups. And this year, Special Operators Transition Foundation, formerly known as, I think, Your Nation First Group, and they're getting spec ops guys and gals that are coming out at certain levels, and they're getting them into the business community. I met a bunch of them years ago, and I got rehooked up with them. We were trying to get Horse Soldier Bourbon to come in as one of our anchors because it fit with General Thomas, and they weren't able to participate. Hopefully, they can participate next year. And I got rehooked up with those guys. And I said, hey, wait a minute, you guys, I've got a bunch of high-level companies that have holes for players. Why don't you find some people that we can put into these groups? So now we're putting, I think, 4 of the Special Operations Transition folks into those different foursomes to meet players. And we've sent them the list, said, you look at this list and the entire list of the whole shebang. Tell us who you want to meet. You tell us who you want to meet. We'll do our darndest to make it happen, right? And that's what happened last year. That's what happened last year with Jeff. Jeff and I were talking, and I said, listen, I want you to come out and play, and you're in the cybersecurity business, you're tech. I said, you want to play with Citrix? He's like, yeah, that sounds like a really good idea. I'm like, oh, I'll put you with the CEO.
Yep.
That's what we did.
Wow.
Just stuck Jeff right in the pack with the CEO.
I didn't know that's how you guys met.
Yeah, and thankfully we developed a friendship based on the fact that I was not golfing, because if you would have seen how bad of a golfer I was,
we'll see that this year.
Probably would have written me off.
Are people generally good golfers at this golf tournament?
There are a few. There are a few good golfers. We know exactly who they are. We have our eyes on them. And what we do is we go around the course and we meet each and every group. General's going to shake every hand, FaceTime with each and every player, and we ask them their number. And we know, we kind of know what's going on. And we ask them their number. And if the number's a little too low, then we work to adjust their golfing capabilities at that point through some secret techniques that we have.
Yeah, so I'm not playing,
so,
by the way.
So I'm going to give you the
Don't reveal
non-El Jefe chairman of the tournament view on this. There's a direct correlation between the quality of golfer and the lack of integrity. So when people are saying, yeah, we're 25 under par, they were probably close to winning the tournament anyway, but they can't be trusted. That dozen or so groups that have legitimate golfers on it, one of them is going to win, but it's only how much oversight that we give. It's really going to determine who should have.
Well, people don't understand that when we walk up, what's your number? And he's like, oh, we're 12 under. I mean, they're even par. We're 12 under. You're going to pay a price for that. Okay, you will pay a price. Jeff probably has seen it firsthand, and we're not going to reveal our secrets. If you want to know what actually happens, you've got to come play in the tournament and be a sponsor. So there's my pitch for the tournament: come out and play. Right? Some things we just don't reveal, and we don't put in books either.
That's great. So I can lie about my score. I'm good.
Yeah, you can lie about your score, but it'll still be par. Yeah, because par is the worst you can do.
Par is the worst you can do. You pick up at par. It's all about.
Perfect.
It's not about fast play. It's about, we tell people that, we reiterate over and over again, this is not about fast play. This is not about you. Today, you are serving others. It's just that simple. Just to throw it out there, as you can tell, we're Americans, we're patriots, we're Christians, and a verse that popped into my head when we started this, it's in the book of James. True religion is to serve the widows and the orphans. And that's what hit me. It's like, these are widows. Whether they're men or women, or whether they're broken marriages because of what they've been through. They're the widows. And now, because of Jeff and because of Conquest Cyber, we get to serve the orphans. And we get to serve those children. So when we put that out there, the floodgates open. People are like, we're in. One sponsor, I will not say who it is, don't want to embarrass them, don't want to call them out, said, listen, we want to be at this level, but can we pay more than what you're asking? I'm like, of course you can. Absolutely. And, so I'm keeping the math. And I said, well, just let me know how much to put the invoice for. And they told them. I was like, what? It's just absolutely amazing because they know that, it's community coming together to help the right people, and the organizations that we team with, we trust. We only work with friends. We only work with people we trust. So, we're really excited. We're very excited about tomorrow. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think this year is going to be the best one yet, and it's going to set the tone for the next. And I think what we really need to be thinking about moving forward is capacity. I think we could probably have sold out, 225, cards if we had the.
Dude, the first year we did a single golf course, we sold out in a couple of weeks. We looked at each other and said, we need a bigger boat. Let's do it. We found a course that had 2 courses. We had 36 holes. Sold it out, almost double the capacity. It was insane. We did that, I think, 4 years in a row. 4 years in a row. And then we took a year off for 19. I needed a break. I needed a break because I was doing a lot of the work. And 20 hit. 18 was when we had Rick Kaiser and the SEALs come down. It turned out that one of the guys, as we're all getting to know each other, turns out Sean Rosario, the president and founder of the Warrior Health Foundation, in Jeff's sister unit in the Navy, or comparable unit in the Navy. I'm sorry, there are no comparable units to your unit. I'm sorry. In a naval unit, shall we say. Okay. Yeah. See that? Do you see his eyes? Do you see that? I mean, man.
That straight face.
Man, look at that. Man.
I let Jim get a lot of rope.
Turns out that Sean was my neighbor. Because we're like, oh, where do you live? Broward. Where in Broward? Parkland. Where in Parkland? Heron Bay. What neighborhood? I'm like, dude, I run by your house every day. And so we started becoming friends.
Well, I don't necessarily believe that.
I used to. Not anymore. So, COVID hits and like, hey man, what are you doing? Nothing. I'm not doing anything. So we spent a lot of evenings drinking beer in Sean's garage and hanging out and talking. I mean, he made me drink Modelo. I did it. I didn't.
Not a fan of Modelo?
It was a sacrifice. I'm Irish. It was a sacrifice, right? But we, I'm proud to call him a guy I know, and I'm proud to call him my friend. And then one day we were all hanging out with a bunch of guys and doing a cocktail event out at this empty golf course, and they were asking me about the tournament. What about the tournament? I'm like, all right, we'll do it again, and we're going to support Sean. So I was trapped, So there it was. We had to do it again, right? And so that's how the Navy thing kind of came about, right? So it wasn't a slight to the green guys at all, Jeff. So just letting you know.
I don't get offended. You didn't know any better.
Oh, Jim, thank you so incredibly much for being here with us today. Thank you for the impact that you're making. If you guys would like to donate, please go visit Special Operations specialops.org and warriorhealthfoundation.org to donate to amazing charities. And we look forward to seeing you on the golf course.
And
Jim.
we are on Facebook now. We are on Instagram. We've come leaping into the 2000s.
All across the social media platforms.
Kicking and dragging. Real quick, when I was vetted by Mr. Kim for the general, and your former teammates operators asking me all these very probing questions, like, we can't find anything out about you guys. You're not on social media. You don't have a webpage. I'm like, dude, we never needed one. Yeah. Never had one. And my wife convinced, like, you guys got to have social media. So a buddy of mine took it up, and tomorrow we're doing the first. If you've gotten the emails, we have those little QR codes. People will be able to post live updates, pictures, videos, shenanigans onto Facebook and Instagram.
What is the name for the Facebook Instagram? Is it South Florida Charity Classic?
You're going to ask me that. I forget. I don't remember. I should have. Just look up South Florida
Charity
Classic.
I saved the most difficult question for last.
It's going to be. If you just go to TikTok, it's going to be Jim Duff, dance master.
It's going to be poundnakedseals.com, right? Mike gets naked again. That's okay. So we're going to do that. That's going to be a blast. So we'll have 133 photographers and videographers, and we will, of course, be screening them before posting.
Yes.
Nothing inappropriate.
Sounds like it's necessary.
We represent wonderful, wonderful people, and we need to keep those reputations intact.
Absolutely. Well, Jim, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to tomorrow. It should be a fun event. I will make sure to leave no dry eyes in the house.
Looking forward
as I raise the glass.
Yeah. Well, it's been great having me, and I really appreciate it. And what you guys are doing is wonderful as well. And like I said, thanks again, Jeff, for dragging me across the green and introducing the Special Operations Warrior Foundation. They have been first class all the way through, and we're looking forward to meeting the General tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's
Cheers.
amazing.
Cheers.
Thank you guys. Tune in for the next episode with Doug Kim, who is a 24-year military veteran. Cheers.